Today we want to try and beat every single Pokemon champion, and there is a lot of them now as May. If a Pokemon faints, it's gone from the whole run. I can't use any items in battle, and there will be strict level caps. Full rules are in the description below. Let's get started. First up is Pokemon Fire Red, and we have the champion for this game, Blue. Some of his Pokemon looking quite scary for us, but let's see how we deal with our first champion. Blue's lead is everyone's favourite bird, Pidgeot. I decided to lead off with our main Pokemon for this run really, Blaziken. We have access to an electric move with Thunder Punch, so we go for that and we do over half. Bird Jesus retaliates with a Feather Dance, harshly reducing our attack. I opt to go for another Thunder Punch, and thankfully we still do enough damage to take down Blue's first Pokemon. His second Pokemon is Rhydon. We have to switch so we can go into our War Turtle. Rhydon shakes the ground and hits an Earthquake, doing massive damage to us on the switch. Being risky already, I decide to stay in and go for a super effective Waterfall. It's looking close, but we do enough damage to get a one-hit knockout, and down he goes. Blue's third Pokemon is Exeggutor. My switching is Blaziken, as he goes for a Giga Drain that does just a little bit of damage to us. The next turn we can outspeed and hit a Blaze Kick that doesn't quite knock it out, and Exeggutor then puts us to sleep. I forgot this thing doesn't have a Psychic attack, so I panic switch into our Skitty. Blue full restores up his three-headed eggplant on the switch. The next turn, Skitty misses a Sing and Exeggutor misses a Sleep Powder. I decide to shoot off an Ice Beam as he goes for a Giga Drain. It does over half and it heals himself in the process. I play it risky again here and go for a Sing. Thankfully we connect, so now he's asleep. We shoot off another freezing Ice Beam to put Exeggutor in the red. This means another heal is coming now, and he'll wake up, so we've got to switch. Eevee is our option now to go into. We switch into Eevee after Blue full restores, and the next turn I go for a return that does nearly half, and Exeggutor puts us to sleep. Exeggutor then goes for a light screen, but we wake up and hit another return, putting him back on his sliver as he shoots eggs at us, doing nearly half. Finally, we can take down this annoying Exeggutor with a final return. Blue's next Pokemon is Alakazam. This thing is a huge problem for me. I expect the Light Screen or a Future Sight, but on our Venusaur switching, he goes for a Psychic, doing massive damage to us. This is not good. I make the third risky play of this fight already, and I stay in as he goes for a Future Sight attack, and we put him to sleep with Sleep Powder, and I set up a Leech Seed for passive damage and extra recovery as he stays asleep. Alakazam still doesn't wake up, and we fire off a Giga Drain, doing solid damage and slowly gaining back our lost HP. We then take the Future Sight attack, but it's not doing much damage to us at all. Alakazam then wakes up and Future Sights again as we finish him off with another Giga Drain. Blue's fifth Pokemon is Arcanine. Now our team is pretty whittled down and we don't really have good switchings anymore. The fire move is definitely coming, so we swap into War Turtle as the flamethrower does very little. Now the extreme speed is coming, so we've got to switch again. This time we go into Beautifly and we take the Future Sight attack on top of that, putting us at a low HP already. I now swap into Blaziken on the flamethrower and it does a little bit to us. I burn a turn of sleep here too as we tank an extreme speed, putting us in the yellow, and the next turn we get hit by an extreme speed again. Thankfully we wake up and we hit a Thunder Punch that critical hits and does over half. It looks like we can survive one more attack, and we do by the skin of our teeth on 7 HP, and we hit another electrifying Thunder Punch and paralyzing. That is fantastic. We now can't take another attack, so we swap into our Eevee. We're pretty low now though also, but he's used all of his PP for extreme speed. So now we can go for a Dig underground, which dodges Arcanine's flamethrower, then finish him off with a ground attack. Our team is demolished now, and we have his ace left, Blastoise. Thankfully, we have a great switch into a semi-healthy Venusaur. He misses the Hydro Pump, which is fantastic for us, and we then go for a Giga Drain, doing massive damage and healing to full. Blastoise sets up the rain, but it's in vain, and he heals with his Citrus Berry. This means Venusaur beats our first champion with a final grass move. This was probably the hardest fight I've ever had with Blue. I'm scared of what lies ahead for us. Let's move on to Generation 2. Lance is the champion of Johto, and the next we face. We can now evolve our Eevee into Glaceon, giving us a good ice type into his team of dragons and flying types. Lance leads off with Gyarados, and we lead off with our Venusaur. We have a great speed EV, so we outspeed and put the Water Snake to sleep with a Sleep Powder. Turn 2, Venusaur hits a Giga Drain for a little amount of damage. Turn 3, we Leech Seed as Gyarados wakes up and hits an Ice Fang, doing close to half, but with Leech Seed we get some of our HP back. We then miss a Sleep Powder and Gyarados for some reason flails for nothing. We miss Sleep Powder again and get hit by another Ice Fang. We then miss Sleep Powder for the 3rd time in a row and Gyarados hits a weak flail, but our Leech Seed now puts him in range for Lance to heal. We then put him back to sleep after the full restore and we start chipping away at him with Giga Drains again. Eventually we get to a point where we can swap into Blaziken. I then opt to set up a Swords Dance as Gyarados falls to Leech Seed damage. Aerodactyl is Lance's second choice. Aerial Ace stings us, but a Charge Thunder Punch zaps the ancient bird and takes him down. Third up is Charizard. We are faster and electrifying attack takes him down in one move as well. I stay in versus his level 49 Dragonite and go for another Thunder Punch, but we don't get the knockout. Thankfully he misses his Dragon Rush, so Blaziken can pick up yet another KO with Thunder Punch. Lance's ace is out, his most powerful Dragonite, and we've got to switch. I go into War Turtle as he outrages and it does insane damage to us. I need to stall it out, so I go into Munchlax, but he gets obliterated too. Venusaur takes a 3rd outrage as his Dragonite finally gets confused. I honestly don't have a switch in for this. Thanks to our EVs, Venusaur actually outspeeds and we connect a Sleep Powder, putting his rage at ease. We then go for a Leech Seed and then we Giga Drain to get back our HP. While Dragonite's sleeping, we've got to take advantage of this and switch. Now is the time to unleash Glaceon. For some reason it doesn't learn Ice Beam, so we've got to settle with Hidden Power, but Hidden Power Ice is enough to finish off this monster. This leaves one more Dragonite left. We outspeed it though, connect our Hidden Power Ice, and we defeat our second champion with no casualties. This is pretty rough so far. We're getting pretty lucky with RNG, but we are making some smart switches too. Let's move on to Generation 3. In Pokemon Omega Ruby, Steven is the champion. His team is pretty strong and he has a Mega and Metagross. I think we match up pretty well against his team though. Steven's lead is Skarmory and our best lead is Blaziken. Turn 1 we can set up a Swords Dance to boost our attack by 2 stages, and Skarmory sets up Spikes to hurt our team when we switch in. I then go for a Blaze Kick to take him down to his Sturdy and he sets up a second layer of Spikes. I know Steven will heal now, so I set up another Swords Dance to put us at +4, as he does in fact heal the Steel Bird. Now we can bring him back to his Sturdy with another Blaze Kick as Skarmory goes for a super effective Aerial Ace, doing nearly half. With a last fiery kick, Blaziken takes down Skarmory. Steven's second Pokemon is Aggron, but it won't survive a +4 boosted Sky Uppercut, but then I realise it has Sturdy too. He goes for an Earthquake, putting us on only 2 HP. We just nearly lost our Blaziken there. Thankfully we can take it down with one more Sky Uppercut. Claydol is Steven's third Pokemon, and I'm not risking losing Blaziken. We swap into our Beautifly on the Earth Power, and then we go for a Quiver Dance, which boosts our special attack, our special defense, and our speed, as Claydol then sets up a Light Screen to boost his team's special defense. The following turn we Bug Buzz that still does a tremendous amount of damage, as Claydol sets up a Reflect. Steven will definitely full restore now, so I take this opportunity to boost yet again with Quiver Dance. Now we can fire off a Bug Buzz that just straight up knocks Claydol out in one attack. Cradily is part Grass type, so a boosted Bug Buzz destroys him in just one bug move as well. Armaldo is Steven's fifth Pokemon. Like the many that stood before Beautifly, a Bug Buzz destroys the ancient bug, and down he goes. This leaves his last Pokemon and his ace Metagross. Thanks to our earlier Quiver Dances, we outspeed, and Metagross, being part type Sidekick, doesn't take a Bug Buzz and falls in one move, giving Beautifly another knockout and beating Steven. But we still have another champion in Gen 3 to face, and that champion is Wallace. He's a champion for Emerald and his speciality is water types. This has the potential to be scary for our team, but I believe we have the coverage to deal with him. Wallace's lead is a powerful Wailord, and we have substituted back in Skitty. It's not updated on my team as I did forget to swap it out, I'll be honest. Let me know how mad you are at me in the comments. I heard they're good for the YouTube algorithm. Anyhow, we outspeed Wailord and put it to sleep with Sing. We then set up a Sunny Day, reducing water type attacks and now allowing us to use Solar Beam. We fire off a Solar Beam and do a massive amount of damage to Wailord as he stays asleep. This means the next turn we can finish off the whale with a final Grass type Solar Beam. Tentacruel is Wallace's second Pokemon. Tentacruel's faster and hits a Toxic, poisoning our Skitty, and we connect another Sing, putting Tentacruel to sleep. We don't really have a way to hurt this too much, so I take the chance to swap into Blaziken. Tentacruel doesn't wake up, and now I can hit a Thunder Punch that doesn't do much as I wanted. We then set up a Swords Dance to boost our attack more, but I still forget that Thunder Punch is special. But we critical hit, putting him in the red. I know Wallace will go for a heal, so I Swords Dance again, and then we go for a Thunder Punch because my brain is just mush. But we critical hit this Thunder Punch once more, as Tentacruel just poisons us. We electrify our fist for a final time, and we critical hit him again to take him out. Ludicolo is Wallace's next Pokemon, but with our massively boosted attack stat, we don't allow him to set up, and we take him out with a critical hit Aerial Ace. How many back-to-back crits was that? Whiscash is Wallace's next Pokemon, and toxic damage is starting to rack up on Blaziken. I don't want to take a ground move here as well, so we swap into Venusaur. An Earthquake does a little amount to us, but now we can hit a Giga Drain. With Whiscash being 4 times weak to grass, it has no chance to survive and falls in one move. Fifth, Wallace sends out his ace, Milotic. We put it to sleep and then we go for a Leech Seed, but we miss. We then land our Leech Seed and Milotic stays asleep. We can now start firing off huge Giga Drains, but he wakes up and an Ice Beam critical hit puts us on only 23 HP. After Leech Seed, we have only about 47 HP, and I don't know what I was thinking here, but I swap into Water Turtle on the incoming Ice Beam. It does nothing, and then we take a Surf. The problem is Water Turtle can't really hurt Milotic much either, and we put him in the red. This means Wallace is going to full restore. Thanks to Leech Seed, we are chipping away, but I swap into Beautifly, and he doesn't take a Surf well at all either. All because I swapped him from Venusaur. We go into Eevee, and a Surf does close to half, but we heal with Leech Seed. We take one more Surf to only 28 HP, and we hit a return that does a massive amount of damage, and after Leech Seed, we take down Milotic. This now leaves Gyarados. From my misplay, our team is severely weakened, and this thing has Dragon Dance. I go into Water Turtle and Gyarados Surf, which does nothing. I hit an Ice Punch for a small amount of damage, and then he starts setting up. This is pretty bad. Gyarados hits an Earthquake, nearly taking down Water Turtle, as we still haven't put it at half. We then swap into Beautifly on the Earthquake, which obviously does nothing to us. And then I swap into Skitty, but Gyarados goes for a Hyper Beam, and that takes down our little cat, giving us our first death of the run. We now though get a clean swap into Blaziken, thanks to the recharge, and with a super effective Thunder Punch, end Gyarados and beat Wallace. Gyarados was always going to be a problem, but I didn't play that too well at all, and it cost us Skitty. Let's move on to Generation 4. Cynthia is the champion, and yes, I've heard you, we are finally doing the hard version in Brilliant Diamond. This is a rematch too, so she's an even higher level and has EV trained Pokemon and items. However, I do have an ace up my sleeve. That ace is Beautifly. Cynthia's lead is Spiritomb, and we lead off with our Beautifly. We are faster, and my strategy here is to Quiver Dance. The more boost we get, the better our special defense, speed, and special attack. We take a Dark Pulse that does around half, and then we go for another Quiver Dance. This means we can definitely live another move, but Spiritomb goes for a Will-O-Wisp, so we're slowly going to start taking chip damage. I go for a Roost, and Spiritomb goes for Sucker Punches, so now we're back to full HP. Spiritomb is just going for Sucker Punches, so it's prime time to start boosting. The aim is to get to a +6 in special attack, special defense, and speed, and that's what we do. We finally get there, and after some roost and burn damage and another Dark Pulse, we're still at close to half, but now we can unleash the beast. With a +6 boosted Stab Bug Buzz, we can take down Spiritomb in one move now. Cynthia sends out her second Pokemon, Milotic. It does have Flame Orb and Marble Scale, but it has no chance to use it, and Beautifly takes down Milotic with a single Bug Buzz as well. Third is Togekiss. Thanks to part flying type, it does resist Bug Buzz, but we have Psychic, and a Psychic move is too much for Togekiss, and it falls as well. Her fourth Pokemon is Roserade. It's part poison, so it's weak to Psychic as well, so it has no chance of living, and down goes Roserade. Her fifth Pokemon is Lucario. Once again, being weak to Psychic means Beautifly picks up yet another one-hit knockout. This leaves her ace and her final Pokemon, Garchomp, but our Beautifly is just way too powerful, and with a final Bug Buzz, we end Garchomp, sweeping BDSP Cynthia with a Beautifly. Now, I know next time I'm probably not going to have a boosting move, but this time I will take it. Let's move on to Black and White. First up in Gen 5 is Alder. Like Cynthia, he has a wide range of Pokemon with good type variety. Alder's problem is his lead is super easy to set up on if you have a fire type with a set up move. That lead is a Selgor. We lead off with our Ace Blaziken. A Selgor actually connects a Focus Blast that does half to us as we set up a Swords Dance. He then goes for a Me First, stealing our our Blaze Kick and putting us on 97 HP before we take it down with a single Blaze Kick. Bouffalon is Aldo's second Pokemon. We outspeed and a Sky Uppercut knocks out the Buffalo in just one punch. Third, Aldo sends out a Scavalier. Being 4 times weak to fire, a single Blaze Kick gives Blaziken its third knockout. Aldo now sends out Volcarona. Not wanting it to set up in my face, I go for a Thunder Punch. Volcarona is actually faster, but he misses an overheat as our attack brings him quite low. Not risking a critical hit, I swap into our Munchlax, but Aldo goes for a full restore. Volcarona now starts setting up Quiver Dances and our Earthquake does nearly half to him. He sets up a second Quiver Dance as our Earthquake brings him low. Volcarona now goes for a Hyper Beam and Munchlax, being the absolute tank it is, survives and takes down the bug with a final Earthquake. Aldo now sends out Druddigon. I swap into War Turtle as he goes for an Outrage, nearly taking us out. I've got to swap again, so I go into Glaceon. Outrage still does a great amount of damage to us, but Glaceon is faster, so the next turn we fire off a single Ice Beam and that takes down the dragon. Aldo's final Pokemon is Vanilluxe, the Ice Cream. We swap into Blaziken and a Flash Cannon does nothing at all, but it puts us on 69 HP. We can then outspeed and hit a final Blaze Kick to defeat Aldo, but Generation 5 is not over yet, we still have another champion. Iris is the other champion, and the majority of her Pokemon are dragons. We do have a Glaceon, but her Pokemon have great coverage for that. Let's see how we do. Iris's lead is Hydreigon, and we lead off with Munchlax. A Dragon Pulse does a solid chunk to us, and we hit an Ice Punch for roughly half. And we get the freeze, fantastic. We can then freeze our fist again and hit another Ice Punch, but we don't quite do enough damage to secure the knockout. This means Iris is now going to heal and thaw him out, which she does, as we hit yet another Ice Punch. Hydreigon brings Munchlax to half with the Dragon Pulse, and this time, instead of him living on a sliver, we land a critical hit, so that takes out her first Pokemon. Her second Pokemon is Druddigon. I want to switch here, so I go into Venusaur, as the Dragon Tail does a solid half and then puts us into Blaziken. I then go back into Venusaur and a Rock Slide puts us on only 46 HP. I now make a super risky play and Sleep Powder. Thankfully we connect it. The next turn we set up a Leech Seed to start getting back some recovery. Now we can Giga Drain, bringing back more HP as Druddigon wakes up and hits a Flamethrower, putting Venusaur back low. We put Druddigon back to sleep and finish it off with one more Giga Drain, and we've restored some of our HP too. Irison chooses to send out Lapras. We just put this to sleep with a Sleep Powder too. With a super effective Giga Drain, we do over half to him and we nearly heal to full. One more Giga Drain and down goes a Transport Pokemon, and we're basically at full HP now. Aggron is Iris's next Pokemon, and we miss a Sleep Powder as he goes for an Automize, raising his speed. He now outspeeds us and a Double Edge hits us for a good amount of damage as we put him back to sleep. I then go for a Leech Seed to start getting back more HP, and I realise Aggron's weak to grass, so he wakes up and Double Edges us as our Giga Drain just demolishes him. He Double Edges us again and I put him back to sleep, and I keep restoring HP with Leech Seed. On the turn I know he's going to go down, I go into Glaceon as Leech Seed takes him out. Archeops now goes for an Acrobatics, and we take down this big threat with just a single Ice Beam. This now leaves her last Pokemon, Haxorus. It has a Focus Sash and it can set up with Dragon Dance. I decide to risk it, stay in and go for an Ice Beam as he hits an Earthquake that brings us to only 6 HP. Our Ice Beam brings him all the way down to 1 HP, and this is exactly why I brought Quick Attack for situations like this. So we finish off Haxorus with a Quick Attack and defeat Iris and Generation 5. There's still a lot more champions to go though, so let's carry on with Generation 6. Diantha is the champion of Kalos and who we take on next. She has some great Pokemon, but it's usually a pretty easy battle. Let's see how challenging it is for May. Holucha is her lead, and I lead off with our main character Blaziken. A Flying Press does amazing damage to us as our Thunder Punch just straight up knocks out Holucha. Tyrantrum is Diantha's second Pokemon of choice. Our Sky Uppercut looks like it's about to knock it out, but it lives on just a sliver. But we get super lucky and we dodge a Head Smash, so Blaziken lives to see another day. The heal is coming, so I stay in and go for a Sky Uppercut again. We know we can definitely take down the T-Rex now with a final attack. Gudra is Diantha's third Pokemon, and I've got to switch. Our best answer is probably Glaceon, so that's who I swap into. Gudra hits a Muddy Water on the switch, and thankfully there's no accuracy drop. The following turn we outspeed and a Stab Ice Beam brings Gudra to below half, as he actually connects a Focus Blast, putting us in the red. One more Freezing Ice Beam and we take down the bulky dragon. Next up is Aurorus. I can't stay in, so we swap into Venusaur. It's a risky play, but I don't think it'll go for an ice move. Luckily he goes for a thunder and he misses. Being part rock type, a Giga Drain does a solid amount as Aurora sets up a light screen, boosting his team's special defense, but he doesn't have enough HP and goes down to his second Giga Drain. Galgeist is Dianth's 5th Pokemon. We go for a Sludge Bomb. Thanks to light screen, Galgeist lives it and gets poisoned. It then uses Trick or Treat, adding the ghost type to our Venusaur. We go for another Sludge Bomb that brings Galgeist to a Sliver, and she goes for Phantom Force. As is tradition in the Ghost Realm, Galgeist dies to poison, so once again it lands no attack on us. Her final Pokemon is Gardevoir and her ace. She Mega Evolves and we stay in. We take a Psychic, but not very well, and we live on only 14 HP, but we can put her to sleep with Sleep Powder. Now we go for a Leech Seed to chip away at her health and get some passive recovery. Not wanting to risk her wake up and lose my Venusaur, I swap into Munchlax. Gardevoir stays asleep, so we take no damage on the switch, and then she takes a little bit more damage from Leech Seed. Gardevoir then wakes up and Moonblast, but Munchlax eats it up and hits back with an Earthquake, bringing Gardevoir to the red. Leech Seed doesn't quite take her down, so she's going to go for a heal here. On the full restore, we go for an Earthquake again, and we're doing half, so it's definitely a 2-hit KO. Munchlax is still sitting healthily, so after a final Moonblast, Munchlax picks up the knockout with an Earthquake, beating Diantha. It's time to sail to Alola and take on the champion there. How is the person we fight to become champion here, and I'm pretty worried about Incineroar and his Z move. If we make it through this Deathless, I'll be quite shocked. How's lead is an Alolan Raichu, and our best answer is probably Glaceon. Raichu goes for a Focus Blast but misses, and our Shadow Ball brings him to only 1 HP, which is a very good start for us. Either a heal or another move is coming, so I go for a Quick Attack. Weirdly, Hal doesn't heal, so Glaceon picks up a quick knockout without taking any damage. However, this now brings out the monster Incineroar. A Z move is definitely coming. I swap into Water, or the only thing that can probably tank it reasonably well, and how does Inferno Overdrive? It does a massive amount of damage to us, but we do hang on in the yellow. I won't be able to take a Darkest Lariat or an Earthquake, so I swap into Blaziken, and even though we resist it, he went for Flare Blitz, and that still does about half to us. I now go into Beautifly on the incoming Earthquake. We need damage off, we just can't take this thing down. So I stay in and Bug Buzz, and we do a solid amount before Incineroar takes down our MVP of Cynthia, severely weakening himself. Thanks for your service, Beautifly, you did great. Now we can go back into Blaziken, and we can guarantee a knockout with a Sky Uppercut. Another threat, Tauros comes straight out and intimidates Blaziken, so we've got to swap. This thing could probably demolish my whole team. I go into Venusaur, and my plan is to stall this thing. It hits an Earthquake on the switch, doing a good chunk, and then goes for a Double Edge, bringing us low. I then connect to Sleep Powder, putting it to sleep. Next turn I go for a Giga Drain, which puts Tauros on only a sliver of health, and it restores a lot of our HP. This is bad because now Hal's going to full restore, as he does full restore and wakes up Tauros. But we know this, so we put him straight back to sleep with another Sleep Powder. We now go for a Synthesis to put us basically on full HP. Predicting the wake up, and I was right to, we go for another Sleep Powder. Tauros does another hefty chunk to us with Double Edge, and we put it back to sleep. We can now Giga Drain again, and Tauros stays asleep. So one more Giga Drain and we finally take it down, and we've got nearly full HP. We played that great, I think. However, there's another problem now, and that's this threat, Crabominable. It's probably faster than us, and it knows Ice Hammer, but that's a move that lowers its speed. The plan is to swap into Glaceon on the Ice move, which he does in fact go for. Still does a hefty chunk to us though. Now the Stone Edge is coming, so it's back to Venusaur. We eat up the Stone Edge super well, and now we outspeed. So off to sleep you go as well. We hit a Giga Drain, doing nearly half to him, and he stays asleep. We Giga Drain again, and now he's in the red, and he doesn't wake up. One more Giga Drain, and we deal with the Ice Crab. Noivern is Hal's 5th Pokemon. We have to swap now, so we go into our Munchlax, as Noivern hits an Air Slash, but Munchlax tanks it extremely well. Noivern's Dragon Pulse puts Munchlax pretty low, but a Freeze of the Fist and an Ice Punch takes down the Flying Dragon. Hal's last Pokemon is Leafeon. Leafeon goes for a Leaf Blade to put Munchlax on only 11 HP, as it tanks an Ice Punch really well. The next turn we swap into Venusaur on a weak Quick Attack, then we tank yet another weak Quick Attack, and finish off the Leafeon with a Sludge Bomb, beating Hal but suffering yet another death. Let's move on to the final 3 games. First up is Trace from Let's Go Pikachu. His Pokemon only have 3 moves, but we have to downgrade our team to just an Eevee, Venusaur and Wartortle. Thankfully these games are pretty easy, especially if you have good AVs, so I'm not too worried. Trace's lead is Pidgeot and we lead off with our Venusaur. This is a bad matchup for us to be honest, but I'm wanting to put it to sleep. We miss our first Sleep Powder and we take an Air Slash, but we don't take it too well. We miss our second Sleep Powder and now we're at half. We finally land our third Sleep Powder though, and now we start attacking. A Sludge Bomb does actually a massive amount, but not enough for the knockout, so the full restore is coming. Trace fully heals his Pidgeot as we Mega Drain for nearly half and restore some much needed HP. With a final Sludge Bomb, we can take out Mega Pidgeot with not too many problems. Now is Rapidash and we've got to switch. I go into Wartortle, who easily eats up the Flare Blitz. We can outspeed and hit a super effective Waterfall to destroy Rapidash, and that deals with a Fire Horse. Third up is Vileplume. I'm not worried about it at all. A Freezing Ice Punch does a solid amount to him as he sets up a Reflect, boosting his team's defense. Trace full restores his Vileplume, but we just bring it to half now. We Ice Punch again and Vileplume hits a weak Sludge Bomb, but he gets a Poison. That's a bit unlucky. One more Ice Punch and we knock out Vileplume. Now this brings in Jolteon. We've got to switch and Venusaur is a play as it really can't hurt it. On the switch we take a Thunder, but it does practically nothing to us. We can then Mega Drain for huge damage and heal up most of our missing HP as Jolteon just thunders again. We're just too bulky for it to matter. A final Mega Drain and down goes his starter Jolteon. Slowbro is his 5th Pokemon, but it's weak to grass and our monstrous Venusaur lands a critical hit to take down Slowbro in just one move. This leaves only Marowak left, but it's a ground type. A final Mega Drain from our Venusaur and we show our dominance over Trace once more and beat him. Let's move on to Sword and Shield. The champion for Sword and Shield is Leon. His team is pretty strong and we're down to only 5 Pokemon now. This could be rough, but unfortunately a lot of our team are not available in the next games, so we can make some sacrifices if we need to. Leon's lead is his Aegislash and we don't have Stealth Rocks this fight. We lead off with Blaziken for the final time. Our play is definitely a Sword Stance to raise our attack by 2 stages, as Aegislash just goes for a King Shield. We now hit a boosted Blaze Kick which critical hits and takes down Aegislash in just one fiery attack. Second is Haxorus. I stay in and go for a Stone Edge, being able to play riskily with Blaziken now. We thankfully connect it and take down Leon's second Pokemon with no issues. This now brings out Mr. Rhyme, the dancing Mr. Mime. It's part Ice type though, so a boosted super effective Blaze Kick to the face destroys the dancing Mr. Mime. Leon now sends out Inteleon. I thought we might be faster, but we're not, and one Snipe Shot obliterates Blaziken, putting an end to him, and we suffer our 3rd death of the run. He's been a great Pokemon to use, rest easy dude. We can now swap into Venusaur and Inteleon goes for a tearful look, reducing our special attack and our attack, as our Giga Drain still does a massive amount, putting him in the red. Leon then uses a full restore, but we're still just doing massive damage to Inteleon. We get hit with a Snipe Shot that does a solid chunk before we finish off Inteleon with a Giga Drain. 5th is Dragapult. Our switch-ins are pretty limited as it has a diverse move pool, so I stay in and Dragapult Flamethrower does a good amount, but we live it and connect to Sleep Powder, putting it to sleep. Now I swap into our Wartortle. Dragapult stays asleep, so we take no damage on the switch. Dragapult stays asleep again and Wartortle's Ice Beam brings Dragapult low. He wakes up the next turn and a Thunderbolt puts us on 10 HP from a critical hit before Wartortle can secure a knockout with Dragon Pulse. This leaves Leon's last Pokemon and his most well-known Charizard. He Gigantamaxes and we stay in to take a max Overgrowth that sets up grassy terrain, and we suffer our 4th death of the run. This however now gives us a free switch into Munchlax. Our play is to Dynamax. Charizard outspeeds us, but Munchlax's bulk means it tanks a max Rock Fall extremely well as a Sandstorm kicks up. We retaliate with our very own max Rock Fall and we obliterate Gigantamax Charizard in one rock move, giving us a victory over Leon, and now it's time for the final champion. The last champion is Jita for Generation 9 and she's got great type variety and some cool Pokemon. The problem with doing this as May now is until the Indigo Disc we only have access to Glaceon and Munchlax. I tried this fight several times with different movesets and we can't make it past King Gambit. So with that in mind I decided to substitute in some of May's Pokemon from the games, that being Tropius, Slugma and Pelipper. Let's finish this. Her lead is Espartha and we lead off our last battle with Glaceon. Espartha outspeeds us and Illumina Crash does a good amount before Glaceon Shadow Ball easily takes out the Psychic Ostrich. Onto the big problem that was King Gambit. We swap into our Slugma and King Gambit's Stone Edge misses, but then our Overheat misses. That's really unfortunate. The next turn King Gambit connects his Stone Edge and it's way too powerful for our little Magma Slug and he takes us down, putting us at death number 5. I go into Tropius now and we have Earthquake, and we outspeed. It does close to half, and then he misses a Stone Edge. Our next Earthquake brings him low, but King Gambit hits this Stone Edge, and it lands a critical hit, and that ends Tropius 2. Super unlucky so far. That now puts our death count at number 6. Pelipper is our next choice. We set up the rain thanks to our ability Drizzle and Surf to finally get past her second Pokemon. Jeter's third choice is Go-Go. I stay in with Pelipper and go for an Ice Beam, doing just over half as Go-Go's Horn Leech restores some of his HP. We Ice Beam again, bringing him to the red as he hits another Horn Leech. Pelipper is severely weakened, but we take down Go-Go with one more ice attack. Avalugg is Jeter's next Pokemon. The rest of our team don't deal with it super well. I stay in and go for a Roost, removing our flying type as a Crunch critical hits, putting us low again. We Roost again, and this time he goes for an Avalanche, which we take fantastically. We now fire off a Surf, doing a tremendous amount of damage to him and put him in the red, but an Avalanche now is neutral, and that takes down Pelipper, putting us at 7 deaths. Now we have our original 2 Pokemon left. We go into Munchlax, we outspeed the Ice Slab and hit an Earthquake to take it down. Jeter now sends out Veluza. We tank a Liquidation pretty nicely, and an Earthquake is doing close to half. We dodge an Ice Fang, and our next Earthquake does another great chunk of damage. Veluza hits a final Ice move before falling to our Munchlax. Jeter's last Pokemon and her ace is Glamora. She terrestrializes into a pure Rock type and hits a Sludge Wave, putting Munchlax on just a sliver as our Earthquake does just over half to her. Toxic debris fly everywhere, and Glamora takes down Munchlax with a final Sludge Wave. We now have 1 Pokemon left, and our final Pokemon for the run, Glaceon. We are faster, and with a final Ice Beam, we beat Glamora, beating Jeter and winning the run. So our total death count was a solid 8 for this run. It was definitely a challenging run, but it was still super fun to do. If you enjoy the Pokemon content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as there's plenty more Pokemon content to come and it really helps me out. Let me know who you want to see next in the comments, and you never know, I might be doing your challenge then. As always, if you're still here, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.